The Titans are back at the odd after a 5-game road trip on Friday. They had their playoff hopes ended in St. Catharines, but with 8 games to go, KW looks to close out the year strong, and they'll get a chance to start tonight with Cavell Johnson making his head coaching debut here at home. Hello everyone and welcome inside the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. Ian Jodry and Dan Polishuk here with you as the Island Storm make their lone trip of the season. The Titans in the midst of a 7-game losing skid, but the good news is their lone road victory came earlier this season in Charlottetown, and now they got a chance to sweep this season series.
And play spoiler a little bit, because the Island Storm are looking to lock down a playoff spot, one of 2 remaining playoff spots in the Atlantic Division, and they're sitting in a good spot at the moment with 2 games in hand on the Cape Breton Highlanders, who are behind them at 11-21 in the division. But being off in the last 10 days, they're looking to ramp things up, and you know what, they look at these last 10 days as really a prime time to be off, because they're dealing with their fair bit of injuries and nothing long term, but it's just that wear and tear on the campaign that this couldn't have come at a better time.
And the Storm have certainly started to make their push in a strong way. 4 straight wins, and now they're kicking off a 3-game Central Division road trip. Of course, tonight here at the odd, then down to the WFCU Center tomorrow to take on Windsor, and then wrapping things up on Friday night when they take on the River Lions. So certainly a tough trip, but with the Highlanders certainly still in contention, the Storm sitting in a good spot, but can't afford to drop any of these ones.
And as we take a look at the pregame ceremonies, that is Kitchener's Mayor Barry Verbanovic giving a bit of a pregame pep talk, if you will, to the gathering here at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. Glad you're along with us live on YouTube. As always, make sure to engage us throughout tonight's ball game using the chat bar on the right side of your view screen. Send us your comments, thoughts, and predictions if you'd like on tonight's broadcast. We'll get to those throughout as we are able. But to go back to your point, the KW Titans, as the Island Storm are on this road trip, the Titans kind of coming back from one of their own, having lost that school day game against the Niagara River Lions. And they are now without Kevin Rogers, who has left the team for the rest of the season, went back home to attend to some personal issues. So obviously Titans fans disappointed of that because of what he was able to contribute when healthy. For the last 10 games or so, he was dealing with his fair bit of injury problems and was seen in limited minutes. But prior to that, he was one of the team's leading scorers and still sits 3rd on the team in that category, points per game.
And he was the leading scorer in that win at the Eastlink Center earlier this season, recording 24 points to go along with 8 boards. So no Rogers tonight and for the rest of the year. But the Titans, they sent out a starting 5 of Ed Horton, Shamar Sutherland, Greg Morrow, Justin Hurt, and Derek Hall.
It's fantastic. Greg Morrow getting the start for all the hard work he's put in this season. We were kind of wondering at what point would he be getting this kind of recognition, and I really like the fact that he is in that starting 5 for the home side, whereas it'll be Chris Johnson, Tyler Scott, Franklin Session, Devon Maxwell, and Chris Anderson starting things off for the visiting Island Storm under head coach Tim Kendrick. It's his rookie campaign as the bench boss for the Island Storm since Joe Salerno left, and spent the last 6 years as the head coach of the UPEI men's basketball program.
The Storm, 2-time NBL Canada finalist, once losing to London and once losing to Windsor. And since their inaugural season in Summerside, the Storm have not missed the playoffs.
Quite the mark, and they're looking to again stretch it to 5 games in a row. Officiating crew tonight, led by crew chief Augie Sokolovich, or Farhan Beg and Ardavan Azidarad.
Both sides making their way onto the floor for the opening tip. The Titans will be going from right to left on your screens at home in their white jerseys with blue trim. Meanwhile, the Storm coming out in their dark blue with orange trim. They're going from left to right. Hall off the opening tip, and we are underway. Here's Justin Hurt. Launched defensively by Franklin Session into the corner for Shamar Sutherland. Hurt the drive, going straight at Maxwell, and almost threw it down, but Maxwell, the last second foul, playing no layup defense, and Hurt off to the line for 2.
And since this was the first, this is the first home game of Cavell Johnson's coaching career, had a chance to chat with him this morning and kind of pick his brain in terms of what his approach in terms of his coaching philosophy is, and in terms of the sets that most Titans fans are used to, or we're used to seeing under head coach Serge Langis. A lot of those sets will remain the same, but he's trying to throw some kinks in there as well, just to make them more multidimensional in that sense, under his vision anyways.
Hurt, an 83% free throw shooter at the line, goes 1 for 2 that time around.
Titans only having recorded 4 practices since Cavell Johnson was named the new head coach.
Scott, the dish inside for Maxwell, backing down on Morrow, lays it in. Maxwell got called for the foul on one and then doesn't draw on the other. Throws his arms up in frustration, but gives the Storm the 2-1 lead. Horton pull-up 3. It's good.
Between himself and Darren Duncan, 2 veteran players, the Titans will be kind of looking on as kind of character guys down the stretch. Just 5 wins on the year, but they certainly want to finish on a high note.
Maxwell feeling it early on, backs him down in the post, then that time hits the turnaround J, knots it up at 4. Ed Horton running the 1, back up top to Hurt. Hurt finds Sutherland off the screen, quick release 3. It looks like he got a piece of it. It's no good. Session in transition as Hurt gets back to help defensively. Maxwell scored the first 4 points of the game for the Storm. Scott down low, muscling his way inside, but off the mark. It's Chris Anderson. Horton going right at it. The circus shot won't drop, and Maxwell quickly picks up his second foul.
Devon Maxwell, graduate of the Hampton Pirates men's basketball program. Those Pirates taking on the #1 seeded Notre Dame Fighting Irish. My Notre Dame Fighting Irish going 1 versus 8 in the NIT tournament tonight. 9 p.m. Eastern tip-off. So you got some NBL action going on right now. Then you can get some NIT before March Madness kicks off on Thursday officially, although a pair of play-in games tonight.
The must-see NIT tournaments.
Hey, when the Fighting Irish are involved, it is must-see TV. Last chance to see Bonzi Colson and Farrell in their NCAA careers. Hey, I'll give you a reason.
Horton 2 for 2 from the line that time. A quick 5 points for him.
But before all that, we got to give you a reason to keep watching this game.
Maxwell, 2 quick fouls to go along with his 2 quick buckets. So we'll see what head coach Tim Kendrick does from here on. Session, the crossover, the pull-up, and knocks it down.
Session, he's both so good this season. 5th in the NBL in scoring, just over 20 points a game on average, and coming off a 27 and 29-point effort against the Highlanders, rather the Hurricanes and Highlanders respectively.
Horton for 3, no good. It's the first miss of the night for Ed. Here's Frank Session, washed by Morrow, of course, making a rare appearance in the starting lineup. Off the mark on the step back, but Maxwell grabs the offensive rebound. Anderson drive, the kick out, the 3-ball, and it's good from Johnson. Morrow, the entry pass. Hall, pretty feed to Morrow, and lays it in. Hall going behind the back for the nice dime. And it's a 9-8 Storm lead.
Had a quick glance over his left shoulder, did Hall, and then found the streaking Morrow for the nice 1-bounce pass. But again, another quick response for the Island Storm.
No shortage of offense early on. Hurt the 3, won't go. Maxwell looking for that bullet pass in low from Johnson, able to corral it. And now the Storm settle things down with Anderson up top. Session looking for the screen as the shot clock hits 8. A mismatch. He's watched by Hall defensively. Goes baseline, works it into the corner. It was tipped by Morrow, and it will stay Storm basketball with 3 to shoot. Quick release off the inbound from Maxwell and forces his first miss of the night.
With the shot clock expiring there, maybe a bit rushed, but Titans looking to take advantage.
Horton got tied up, took a few steps, but gets it back off the feed from Sutherland. Once again, going down the hall, short little step back and drains it over Chris Anderson. It's going to be a challenge tonight for the Storm, trying to find someone to match Derek Hall and his 7-foot frame.
You think?
Corner three and rattling it in. Tyler Scott, his first bucket of the evening. The Storm firing on all cylinders early on, but Horton right down Main Street and lays it in. That's a circus look to drop.
We've seen that before from the veteran Ed Horton. That was a nice looking play. Now a foul being called.
Starting to slow things down, a fast pace. Start of this game, 4.5 minutes in, and already a combined 26 points. As Devon Maxwell draws the foul and he heads to the line for a pair.
Going back to Derek Hall for a second, having just come off a game in which he recorded his 8th straight double-double of the season.
Maxwell goes 0 for 2 from the stripe. Sutherland had it poked away by Anderson, trying to throw it off him, takes a funny hop.
Nearly went in there too as they hit the front part of the rim.
Baseline J that time from Johnson, no good.
Clearly in the early going, KW looking to up the tempo just a little bit. The key is here to really stay in control and still have some quality looks.
Hall into the corner for Hurt, 3, good. Justin Hurt knocks it down and gives the Titans the 1-point lead.
And on cue, Justin Hurt with a good looking shot there, put the Titans back up by 1.
Maxwell working down low on Horton, and Maxwell, of course, playing with 2 fouls, is now drawn to last 2 possessions. With the second team foul for KW in the first.
Good identification there with a bit of a size mismatch in the blocks as Maxwell calls for that pass. He's stripped though from behind by Hurt.
Hurt off the steal, long pass to Morrow, goes right at Session and lays it in through a couple bodies.
Good power stop there from Morrow. Asserts himself down low, keeps the ball up high and able to lay it in.
Session, the spin move, out to Anderson. Open look, Hall lets him take it, but he won't drop it.
Titans just letting him, or challenging him to let it go. Playing the percentages there.
17-14 KW early. Horton had that one poked away by Johnson, but he's going to pick up the 3rd team foul for the Storm this quarter. Maxwell, the other 2, but has stayed in the game regardless and shown discipline since.
Going back to Chris Anderson for a second, as he had really all day to think about whether he wanted to take that 3, shooting 42.5% from beyond the arc, averaging just shy of 2 per game, so not a huge threat. And probably a point in the scouting report for the KW Titans going into tonight's ballgame.
Horton, good on both that time around. Session, the baseline drive goes right at Morrow, count it, plus the foul. What a play from Frank Session, he's got a chance of 3.
As he's off to a good start again, a high-flying play there from Session, beat the defender, and now we're gonna have a pair of subs as we go to a timeout on the floor.
Carl Hall and Brad States both set the check back in. Will be Session the chance for an and 1 out of the timeout. A quick start for Ed Horton, 9 points. The opening 7 minutes and 5 seconds. Session missed the three, a whistle. It's going to be a violation, but on the Storm. So it goes as stands. 19-16 KW. Mentioned Brad States and Carl Hall both checking into the game for the Storm.
What a pickup that was from the River Lions and Carl Hall just before the transaction deadline this year.
Anthony Miles fresh in the game, dishes to Hurt. The drive goes right at Hall and lays it in. Pretty move from Hurt.
Now Hurt's been dealing with his fair share of leg injuries this season too, but in that instance, and really in tonight's ball game, he's been looking very really decisive in his first step and showing some good speed.
States the drive and draws the foul. He's going to go on Miles for his first of the evening.
Brad States, one of the Canadians on the roster out of Bathurst, New Brunswick, and a UPI grad, and one of those second-time recruits, I suppose, for Tim Kendrick, if you want to put it that way. One of the reasons why they brought him on board is he's able to really tap into Canadian talent, especially on the East Coast, as familiar as he would be with it.
Miles out to Sutherland. Hurt in the corner. Watched by States. Crosses over, pulls up for a long two, but won't go. Maxwell, the drive on Sutherland, tries to float it for States and draws another foul. Looks like that one's going to go on Nigel Titer. It's actually going to go on Sutherland for his first. KW's fifth, so one more to give before they're into the penalty. Carl Hall getting his first touch of the evening, backing in on Titer. The pivot and the score. Nice move from Hall. That's his first 2 points. Sutherland down low, Titer. Hurt the drive and the lay-in. Pretty move from Titer to find Hurt streaking down the baseline, and high-flying first half for both sides.
Titer getting in on the scoring action shortly after checking in.
Session for three. Won't go. Hurt. Out to Starks for the deep three. Puts it in. Starks from way downtown, and it's a 7-point Titans lead.
He's clearly got the ability to hit that. We've seen it time and again. As there's another deep three.
Scott trying to respond, won't go. I give it back to Starks, but a foul away from the basketball. And it looks like Titer ran over Maxwell on his way back up the floor, and he'll pick up number one. Kemiasi checking into the game for the Storm. Scott heads off.
And in fact, with Carl Hall, this is the first look at Carl Hall as a member of the Island Storm. We should note that as well, as he just reported to the team this week.
Speaking of Carl Hall, that time he draws the blocking foul. The officials getting ready to discuss it. And it is on Sutherland. Defensive foul. Sutherland's second forces him to check out, and Horton, a short stint on the bench, he's right back into the fire.
Going back to the addition of Carl Hall to this Island Storm lineup was a bit of delayed since the transaction with the Niagara River Lions, according to Jason Malloy of the Journal Pioneer. Some things they had to work out contractually, nothing in terms of ill will, if you will, quote unquote, but just want to get some things smoothed out, and apparently they have now, and this is certainly a bonus in a stretch run for the Island Storm.
Hall misses both, but then Miles turns it over the other way. Session has to hit the brakes as the Titans get back defensively. Maxwell three off the back iron, swatted out of bounds. It might be Storm basketball, and it is. The Titans let that go thinking that they're about to get possession, but instead PEI has it in a fresh 24.
So a bit of miscommunication there from KW.
States, the right-hand drive gets tied up with Miles, goes out of bounds, so Miles gets credit with the block.
Absolutely, all ball on that one, and then as it came down, got a piece of States' right hand, it looked like, from this angle anyways. And actually more like his left, as he's kind of wincing in, flexing that left hand of his, heading back to play some defense.
Three to go in quarter number one. Starks coming off that long bomb from way beyond the arc. Watched tightly by Session. Works in the corner, Hurt for a three. Rattles out. Session over to Aussie. Maxwell now looking for that entry pass. Nice find to Hall. Goes underneath and in.
That's a pretty lob in there for Carl Hall. Comes down with it, and then he's doubled, still able to get in a good spot to lay it in.
Hall off the assist from Maxwell, and it's a 5-point game. Horton into the corner. Miles, three, no good. Tighter offensive rebound and the putback.
Again, Tighter elevating his play a little bit there to help boost this Titan lead to 7. Nice fadeaway J there as that was banked off the window and in.
Maxwell has responded well since picking up 2 fouls early, has not left the floor since. Horton, Hurt, swing it to Starks in the corner, but can't get it to go.
Forced that one a little bit with Maxwell out to challenge.
Carl Hall a little too aggressive on the baseline. I think he saw Tighter breathing down his neck, trying to make a play to keep it in the Titans' favor, but instead Hall touched it. Now KW with a fresh 24. Right off the inbounds, Hurt won't go. And Session across the timeline for PEI. Difficult shot between two defenders and lays it in. It's back to a 3-point game.
Bit of a fingertip roll there. A pretty play for the bucket. Horton clear lane to the bucket himself there in that instance, though.
Horton right down Main Street. Back to a 5-point Titans lead. Hurt going to get charged with his first foul of the evening. With Titans in the penalty situation. Session heading to the free throw line.
Carl Hall heading off, and we get our first look at Phillips tonight for the KW Titans.
On the season, Session a 74% free throw shooter and has led the way for this Island Storm team, averaging just under 21 points a game. That time good on both. Session cuts it back to a 1-score game.
Dominic Phillips, be interesting to see what kind of consistency he comes out with tonight. Put up 21 at St. John's, but then just 2 in 2 minutes of play. But in the meantime, his teammate picking him up right there.
Starks again from downtown. It was Horton who found the stroke early, but now Starks starting to get a groove going. 6-point Titans lead. Session rolling out to his right. Watched by Miles. The errant pass. Johnson able to get back, but it was not tipped. It'll be a backcourt violation, and the Titans will get the ball back with 31 seconds to go.
Titans doing well to force that pass back up top, but sloppy one at that.
Hall up top to Phillips as they work it around and try and burn some time off the clock. About a 6.5 differential game clock, shot clock. Starks again for three. That one no good. Osei grabs the rebound. Going back in transition, flips it up with the left hand off the window and in. Titans gonna have to hurry to get one last shot off. Starks again for three. It's good at the buzzer. Ahmad Starks, his third triple of the first quarter, and the Titans up 7 after 1. How about Ed Horton and Ahmad Starks in that first quarter, combining for 20 points between the two of them, including 4 triples. Titans up 7.
And the Titans, Ed Horton with a game-high 11 after the first quarter of play on 3 for 4 shooting. Both teams shooting well over 50%. 59 for KW, 57 for the Island Storm, though they are struggling from the free throw line, are the Island Storm, 3 of 8. That's essentially your differential in this ball game.
That time, Johnson on the reach, catches Miles, and chance for a few subs for Tim Kendrick's squad. Anderson and Scott both checking back into the ball game.
And the Titans bench play certainly boosted by Ahmad Starks, who's a 3 3-pointers, 3 for 5 from beyond the arc, and Titans bench outscoring the Storm's 11-7 in that initial frame. which saw both Session and Justin Hurt playing the entire quarter, both getting 8 points apiece as well.
We saw the matchup earlier this year. The two Halls, Derek and Carl, they're both on the floor to start this second quarter. Starks in the corner off the switch. Can't hit the step back three. Here's Johnson. He's watched by Anthony Miles. Pass down low for Anderson. Long two, no good. Swatted though right into the hands of Scott. Anderson, the reverse block by Miles, his second of the game, but goes right back out to Session. Anderson inside, and finally the baseline finish. The Storm get 3 looks.
And that's just it. KW just allowing a bit too much time there on the possession, and Island Storm able to take advantage.
Phillips, watched by Scott defensively, shot clock down to 2. Phillips pulls up, and be well short. That'll be a shot clock violation.
And then they go to the other end, a bit scrambly here for KW, as we're going to have Henry checking in for the first time tonight for the Island Storm. It's the Cal State San Bernardino alum.
Henry started the year with the St. John's Edge. Made his way over to Prince Edward Island. Almost a steal, but into the corner, loose ball, Storm have it. Johnson tries to flip it up for Anderson with the shot clock winding down, but won't go. Starks, open look for 3. Bang! Ahmad Starks from deep, and it's an 8-point KW lead.
Some good floor presence there from Ahmad Starks as he was streaking right to the basket. Realized that would have been a tough pass for Phillips to make. Kind of curled back towards the arc and was able to provide an outlet pass there, or an option anyways, to set up the 3 ball.
Session, the entry pass for Henry kind of rolled around a bit. Henry wasn't anticipating it, but it went off Derek Holland out, so the Storm retained possession. 11 to shoot. Anderson going to work in the post, and that's an offensive foul.
Not liking that call. He's got some words there for the official, but Chris Anderson.
It's the first on Anderson.
Getting burned, yeah, for the turnover there, and then Titans will look to take advantage here.
Devon Maxwell, Tremar Sutherland, and Greg Morrow all playing with 2 at the moment. Horton into the corner for Phillips. They go down low. Hall trying to go around Anderson, the baseline drive. Pump fake, flips it up, and traveled. Thought he had the and one, but put the ball on the floor. Dragged that pivot foot. Results in the turnover. 3 minutes into quarter number 2, 39-31. Kitchener-Waterloo with the lead. Henry, entry pass for Anderson. He draws the foul. Flipped it up, and Miles will pick up his first. That's his second, actually. So 2 on Anthony Miles.
And was with Anderson at the line. Worth mentioning, we were talking about the NIT tournament ramping up today. He actually played in that tournament with Louisiana Tech back in 13-14. Some couple of good performances there, helping his team beat Iona and then Georgia at that point in time before beginning his professional career.
Phillips tries to feed Hall, but picked off by Henry. Henry hits the brakes and leaves it for Scott. Session trying to cross up on Starks. Steps back for 3, won't go. Henry battling for that rebound, had it. Goes out, and we'll go back to the Titans.
Had one paw on it, just couldn't squeeze it there in the end as it got tapped out of bounds.
Miles trying to drive around Anderson, simply lost the handle. And we'll go back to the Storm, but Miles pleading his case. They want to get together with the officials, thinks that one might have been tipped.
being discussed here, might be overturned. Yep.
And indeed it is. It'll go back to the Titans, much to the displeasure of Coach Kendrick.
Much to the approval of these fans right behind us who were seemingly convinced that was touched by no one, quote unquote. Not always the most reliable of sources, but in that instance, 100%.
A lot of amateur officials in the crowd as usual.
It wouldn't be a basketball game otherwise, would it?
Hall misses on the turnaround hook, but the offensive rebound by Starks. Sutherland, he's got Hall wide open, but instead loses the handle. And that's the turnover the Storm were looking for. Johnson, the floater, gets the roll. Pretty look from Johnson and drops it in to make it a 4-point game.
And that was after Chris Anderson was taking his time getting up, wasn't sure where the play was developing. Finally, when he did, stuck out that left hand of his and disrupted Tramar Sutherland's dribble. And points going the other way.
Deep three that time from Scott is no good. 4.5 into quarter number 2. Storm have not led since the 7:43 mark of quarter number 1. Horton for 3, won't go. The Titans
sitting back a little bit at the moment too.
Starting to get a little bit cold offensively. That time the miss, and what a rebound from Scott. Laying on the ground, able to corral it and find his man for 2.
And that's going to garner a timeout call from head coach Cavell Johnson. What an effort there, as you said, from Tyler Scott on his chest. Picks up the rolling ball, gets the pass out, and another 2 for the Island Storm.
(39-37), and the Storm on a mini 6-0 run got it to a 1-point game. The foul that time is going to go on. Oh, it's going to go on Roshan Wynn, who's into the game for the first time tonight.
With the Island Storm really ramping up their defensive play, and on the flip side, KW's offense going a little cold. That's why we've seen the reversal in the script with the Island Storm getting it back within 2. KW's aggressiveness just hasn't been there in terms of its offense the last couple minutes.
Starting to settle for outside looks. Horton, difficult shot off the window, fighting for it, and Henry gets to it in the corner.
He took the words right out of my mouth, just forcing some shots and some low percentage attempts too, as Horton just throwing it up.
Johnson gets the floater to draw it. Pretty move.
And pretty finish too, as we're all knotted up now midway through the second quarter.
Storm have not led in the quarter. Hall back out. Open look for Horton. Also no good.
After 11 points in the first, Ed Horton having his struggles here in the second. Not the only one though, as Hurt's away.
Hurt ahead to Morrow. Oh, and getting back for the block, Devon Maxwell What a play. Rejection from Maxwell.
And there, to me, it looked like Morrow was almost debating whether to go for the slam in that instance or just lay it in. And ultimately, he decided for the latter, but you see, it was kind of slow going up.
Most of the time, blocks like that, you try and see them pin to the backward. Maxwell cleanly gets his hand in there in front of the rim and sends it back where it came from. Huge play from Maxwell.
And if the offense isn't clicking, that's the last thing you want to do is with that 3-ball attempt, and Island Storm now with the lead. They come all the way back here in the second quarter.
Henry, the jumper, and it's a 10-0 Island Storm run. But Hall, the assist to Horton, plus the foul. And a chance for KW to get the lead right back pending the free throw.
That was Roshan Wynn Jr. A little slow getting there across the key and fouled Ed Horton just as he went up. And we've got a substitution with Miles coming in and Morrow heading off.
And Horton gets the roll on the free throw, completes the three-point play. He's got 14, and the Titans have the lead right back. 42-41. Scott, the entry pass, was looking for Wynn, but no good. Horton into the corner. Hurt tries to save it. Sutherland, the pump fake, the drive. Can't get it to go, but Horton on the rebound, plus the foul. Ed Horton with a chance for another three-point play.
It hasn't been a pretty start to the quarter for Ed Horton, but as soon as he starts making his way down in the paint, high percentage shots and lay-ins, and he's already got 4 and a chance to make it a three-point play now.
Horton looking for 6 points in under 30 seconds, 44-41 KW. Ed Horton shooting 84% this year from the free throw line. 17 points on the night, back-to-back and ones. And it gives Kitchener-Waterloo that 4-point lead.
Yeah, 17 points in as many minutes for Ed Horton. The Titans, though, need to keep that going, that sort of play going, as they're only shooting 21% this quarter. There's another and one opportunity, this time for the Storm.
Carl driving around Derek, count it, plus the foul, and the Storm can make it a 1-point game.
Yeah, they certainly are not going to go away, and we've seen it time and again this season for KW. It's either they're starting strong and then going through their struggles, or the reversal is really, the consistency just hasn't been there.
How about 3 and 1s in less than a minute between both sides? 45-44 KW. Derek Hall backing it on Carl to Miles, counted, plus the foul. A chance for another 3-point play as Anthony Miles heads to the free throw line.
And a good job, Miles, to stick with it right there, as I think they even got partially blocked, or someone got a hand on it anyways. But he got enough behind it to get it off the window and in to bank it in for the lay-in, and now an opportunity for one more.
Have you ever seen this many and ones in such a short span of time? That's 4 in just over a minute now.
Yeah, and 3 of them going the Titans' way. Anthony Miles with his first 3 points of the ball game.
Here's Chris Johnson, watched by the big man Derek Hall. That's a mismatch. They work it down low to Carl. Back out, Johnson, 3, good. 48-47, the Storm not going anywhere.
That's Johnson's second 3-pointer of the night, 2 for 3 now from beyond the arc.
Miles looking to respond, but can't hit. Johnson in transition goes right at Miles, floater, no good. Derek Hall grabs the board. Horton, been red hot, goes right at his defender and lays it in.
Well, it's tougher as a southpaw, of course. Horton slashing to his right, and that side of the key as well, but still able to get around the defender and lay it in on the strong hand.
Another drive, Carl on Derek, and that time Derek called for the foul.
That's his first of the ball game. Been a quiet night offensively so far for Derek Hall. Just the 2 points, 3 rebounds, but 3 assists. So kind of has turned into a distributor, I suppose. We already saw 1 pretty pass in the first quarter from him. Leads the team in that category, in fact. There's another miss for the Island Storm. That's already 6 misses from the free throw line tonight.
As a team, the Storm are last in the league in free throw percentage by a fair margin, just 68%. But that time, Session grabs the rebound. And a chance to cut it within 1 or tie here for the Storm with 3.5 to go in the second quarter. State's almost lost it. Maxwell now, watched by Sutherland. Maxwell, the turnaround. No good. And that time, Miles able to get to the rebound.
Island Storm also with no fouls to give now.
Hurt for 3. Won't go. Session trying to work around Hurt. Nice pass, but Hall, the rejection. Derek Hall, the big block on Tyler Scott.
The big man using that wingspan like we're so used to seeing. Another block for 35.
Miles, the kick out was tipped, so it'll stay KW basketball with 15 to shoot. And Chris Anderson, Kemi Osei both checking back in.
And Tyler Scott heading off, formerly known as Calvin Tyler Scott, but goes simply by his middle name. A former All-Canadian first team with UPI under head coach Tim Kendrick. Top 5 in AUS scoring all time.
Hall, the jumper. It's good.
AUS scorers obviously in the news. Jamal Masters of Kitchener becoming the AUS's all-time leading point getter and had his career cut short. Didn't quite get that national title he and UMB were looking for. A lot of good players coming out from out east.
The Titans with one of their own as well, and Kyle Arsenault, former Acadia Axeman.
Absolutely a sharpshooter in his own right, and we recall a road game against the London Lightning where he was, well, lights out in 1 quarter of play. At one point, I believe it was 5 3-pointers.
Hall back at the free throw line where he has struggled tonight, but puts in the first. Two for 2 that time around. Back to a 1-possession ball game. Storm have no fouls to give the rest of the half. Titans have 2.
A very deliberate kind of free throw release too. Kind of unique. I'd equate that to Charles Barkley in golf swing in that sense.
Miles looking for the sweet reverse, but just misses.
Just a little too much on that.
Going up to get that one was Anderson, but has it poked away, but still stays with the Storm. Nice play by Anderson to keep that in the Storm's possession. Carl Hall back out to Osei. Osei, the step back. No good. Horton, left-hand dribble, flips it up and lays it in. What a half. Ed Horton.
Up to 19 now. or 18 rather. Check that 19 after the free
19.
throw. Yep.
Correct.
Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of live stats at the moment, so we're going by old school, paper and pencil here.
States over to Session. 2 to shoot. Session gonna have to force a shot up, and it's short. 1:10 to go in the first half. Titans entertaining that 5-point lead. Hurt. Open three for Sutherland won't go.
A little rushed in that possession for KW.
And now the Storm are all back. They thought they were calling a timeout. Instead, Osei's the lone man up the floor.
Finally catch up, but that burned off some precious seconds off that shot clock. Ultimately, decides to take it on his own. So, that one tipped out of bounds. And a lot of confusion on the Island Storm end of the floor, and that's why they're going to call timeout.
An odd sequence there. The Titans are going to get the ball back off the missed three from Osei, 54-49, KW. About 19 seconds, the difference between the two game clocks. The Titans looking to stretch this 5-point lead. Horton, Miles the baseline J, well short. Now the shot clock off, the Storm can cut it to a 1-score game. Frank Session. Had a solid first half. Already in the double figures.
Good switch there from the Titans. One-on-one with Horton now.
Osei, the pump fake, but misses the jumper. States trying to get on the putback.
That's a good set, though, right?
Looks like there's a foul call, though, with no time left.
So is that on the foul with States getting contact down low on the putback attempt? And this could be a big call here.
So it'll all depend on whether or not he was in the act of shooting, and indeed they say States was going back up for the putback, so he'll have 2 untimed free throws to close out the half.
Yeah, States looks to be okay, but Storm fans will know that he's been dealing with a concussion this year too, so you kind of hold your breath as a fan as he drains that first free throw. Maybe to take a knock to the head like that, you just hope for the best.
So they actually put half a second back on the clock. States misses the second. Hall will grab the rebound, and that keeps it a 2-score game. 54-50. KW leads after 24 minutes. 21 points for Ed Horton through 24 minutes. He played 22 of them. That's a team high for the Titans, stepping up big time. Derek Hall not getting it done as much as we're used to, but still 4 points to go along with 7 rebounds. He's playing with 2 fouls, and Jamar Sutherland, Greg Morrow as well. Anthony Miles, we imagine, is going to be on the bench for the majority of this second half, playing with 4 fouls. But the Titans come in 54-50 as we begin the third quarter. Ian and Dan with you on this Tuesday night from the Odd. And the Titans trying to sweep the season series. It's the only team that they have a chance of sweeping the season series of this year.
And looking for a win number 5 at home as the Titans return to the Odd here for the first time since their 5-game road swing. There's a lay-in, Ian, for the Island Storm.
That is Devon Maxwell, who started hot, picked up 2 fouls, but stayed in the game and contributed big time in the score sheet. Hurt the drive, count it, plus the foul. Justin Hurt, a chance for a 3-point play.
There, Justin Hurt getting back to his old ways, if you will. Wrapped up the first quarter with 8 points and then went scoreless in the second. So I'm sure he was reminded of that, getting back to basics, essentially. Go back to what got him to that 8-point total in that first quarter, and he started off on the right foot with this 3-point play opportunity.
Hurt, the third Titan into double figures tonight. Steps up and drills the free throw. He's got 11.
Ahmad Starks being the other with 12 points, though that's in limited minutes, just 10 minutes for the diminutive Ahmad Starks.
Session watched by Morrow. Trying to drive around him, but Morrow closing him off defensively. Session, the turnaround, and he'll get the roll. Pretty shot from Frank Session.
2 U Sports grads going at it one-on-one. Tough defense from Morrow, but good tenacity shown there by Frank Sessions, and he gets the roll.
Hurt. Rolls off the screen from Hall. Sutherland, pump fake, falls to the floor, tries to give it off to Horton, but it was kicked by Session. So the Titans will benefit from that as the shot clock resets to 14.
And look from this vantage point that when Sutherland gave a bit of a head fake there and beat the defender, he knocked into the leg of the Island Storm player, and that's why he tripped up. But as he got up, he was kind of wiping off his shoes, so maybe some moisture there left on the hardwood.
Hurt misses the runner. Hall battling for that offensive rebound, somehow does not come away with it. Here's Session, the float up top, and that would have been a pretty play. Anderson comes down without getting a travel call. Johnson, the bounce pass to Sutherland.
Not a good one.
Hurt in transition. Cuts against the grain, slashes his jumper well short, and 2 very odd looks in back-to-back possessions.
Just ugly in general, and to put it blatantly, but that one a bit better for the Island Storm as they get back to within 1.
57-56 Session score, and it's a 1-point game. Horton swings inside. Hall, easy land.
Just points number 5 and 6 on the night for Derek Hall, although not only does he lead the team in rebounding and has a game-high 7 rebounds, he's got a game-high 5 assists. So at the end of the day, he might be challenging for a triple-double. Stay tuned.
Theoretically, on pace.
Yes, exactly.
You know, the rebounds and the points usually not an issue for him. The assists are going to be a little bit harder to come by, but the first quarter he got a highlight reel one with the behind-the-back dish, and
there's a highlight reel denial flying in Tyler Scott.
Scott the other way. The floater gets it to drop. Difficult shot over Hall, and it's back to a 1-point game.
Tyler Scott going end-to-end, gets the nice defensive play, nearly another swat, but that time just high enough off the window for Ed Horton as he hits the floor hard, comes up lame.
What a night for Horton, 23.
He's still fighting to get back. He's in a good amount of pain right now, and he's going to need to be subbed off momentarily.
How about Tyler Scott, 6'3", another offensive rebound and score.
So Morrow's going to gain half court, and I think we're going to get, no, we're not going to get that timeout call. Horton's still trying to play through it, but at 50% at best.
Hurt for 3. Won't go. Morrow battling for the rebound. The Storm come away with it, which means that the Titans can't call timeout. Maxwell, the lay-in. And now, Cavell Johnson, you're going to call timeout. PEI out in front, 62-61. A hot start to the second half for Frank Session, Tyler Scott. Scott got the block and then the rebound and score on the other end, and the Storm are out in front 62-61. And now a foul away from the play. Morrow is going to get called for his third.
Frustrating start to the second half for the KW Titans so far.
Biggest lead of the night for PEI has been 4. Session slashes through and scores 16 points for him, and it's a 3-point ball game.
6 points already in this third quarter for Sessions as he's turned it on.
Hall was looking for Miles but threw it away, and another mental lapse for the Titans to start the half.
Turnover number 9 for KW. Getting their wires crossed for the Titan players in that instance, going baseline.
The step back from Johnson, well short, with the offensive rebound from Scott. Anderson trying to generate a fourth opportunity, and Maxwell gets the bucket. You know what they say, 4 times the charm, and the Storm have their biggest lead tonight.
Not too often though, but Chris Anderson, I can put the asterisk beside his name on that one. Just stays with the play, keeps the ball alive, and going 1 versus 2 down low, somehow comes up with a loose ball over to his teammate who puts it back for 2.
Miles, the 3 won't go. Sutherland fighting for the rebound. It'll stay KW basketball. And Nigel Heider checking back in.
So Titans all of a sudden down 5, the biggest deficit they faced here tonight. As the Island Storm coming out shooting 75% in this quarter.
Corner 3, Stark's no good. KW struggling from the field, 2-on-1. Johnson, the floater, no good.
Try to get organized here. They have numbers going the other way. Although the Island Storm do well to get back.
Starks draws the double, tighter. Bounce pass to Sutherland was kicked. So the shot clock resets to 14 and stays with KW.
Some other action going on in the NBL tonight is the Niagara River Lions and St. John Riptide. The River Lions leading that one by 12, 56-44. 9 minutes left in the third. A game which means more to the St. John Riptide, as there's still a possibility they could finish second in the Atlantic and garner themselves a home court advantage.
Absolutely, not to mention the Riptide are on the front end of a back-to-back.
And not to mention as well, they have 6 games in hand on Moncton, including tonight's game.
They're back in action here tomorrow night on their lone visit of the season.
Winners of 2 in a row, looking to make a 3, but Niagara making it tough on them, sitting at 13-19, and with St. John's and London really the forerunners here in the Central Division. They're just looking to finish strong and stay healthy, more importantly.
River Lions seem to almost be locked in that third spot, and they're going to have a tough matchup.
I'd even say the fourth spot with the Windsor Express at 17 and 15, but we'll see come the end of the year.
Whoever grabs that 4 seed, you're going to have a tough battle, as they'll likely take on London, who has a slim lead over St. John's for top spot in the Central. Starks hits the step back and stops the bleeding, so it's a 5-point game. Transition 3 from Johnson, no good. Anderson on the floor. The Titans have numbers. Starks. Sutherland the 3, no good. Wide open looks in transition with a man down the other way. You got to bury those. Just
a little flat though, as that one's going to get a friendly roll for the Island Storm. Go up by now a game high 7.
14 now for Maxwell. He's having himself a night. Hall draws the foul, and it's going to be Maxwell picking up number 3.
Yeah, he went in to swat that one out of Derek Hall's grasp and caught a piece of his arm too, as we're going to have 3 changes for the Island Storm. States, Osei, and Hall checking into the ball game.
Carl Hall has played well so far in his minutes tonight. With Maxwell playing with those 3 fouls, he's staying on. Sessions, Scott, and Anderson, the ones who head off for PEI. Miles out to Starks. Starks looking for some help off the screen. 2 to shoot. Tighter, the lay-in.
Garners some contact, does tighter there, but again, uses that strong frame of his to go in for the layup. Another 2 for KW as they try to whittle this lead.
Difficult shot from Johnson, no good, but States off the long rebound. And a fresh shot clock. Carl Hall with Anthony Miles down low, big mismatch. Looking for the putback, no good. And now back come the Titans on the rush. Miles, he'll head to the line.
As he went up, he was handled there by Osei, and a good foul to take as he has a bit of a high five there for Miles, who will head to the free throw stripe. Just the 1 attempt tonight on finishing that 3-point play he had back in the second quarter.
Miles playing with 4 fouls tonight.
He's been physical, but not in the best way possible, obviously, with those 4 personals that he's playing with.
Miles good on the first. On the year, the top free throw shooter on the team, and 92%.
Since joining the team as well. Hasn't been in Kitchener all too long, but certainly contributing in that respect.
Carl Hall. He's at that time for Osei. Hall backing down on Derek and the reach. Be the 3rd on Derek tonight, and he did with 3 on the shot clock, so it resets and stays Island Storm basketball. Osei out to Maxwell, the floater, no good. Not punched off the backboard by States, but back into the hands of Starks. Go on one-on-one with Osei, but just misses. In transition, Maxwell fouled by Hall. He picks up his 4th.
Fast break points really haven't been there for either team here tonight, but we're seeing that part of the game just ramped up to another level, as it looks like Ed Horton looks to be okay. So that's a good sign for KW, although he's got a bit of a limp, so maybe trying to play through it a little bit here, see what he's got in the tank as Derek Hall heads off for the home side. But going to touch on Osei for a second, point guard on the floor right now for the Island Storm, along with Session, in fact. But it's more of a guard by committee now with their captain, Andre Stringer done for the year due to a ruptured Achilles tendon he suffered in late February. So between himself, Osei, and Tyler Scott, too, who we've seen tonight with the 7 points in 19 minutes, they're going to be leaned on quite heavily through the home stretch and, well, what they're hoping to be an extended playoff run.
Horton with 10 to shoot. Trying to run away from Session. Spins with the left hand and misses. 72-67. The Storm have taken the lead after starting the half down 4. Session watched by Hurt. Nice pass inside to Maxwell. Trying to work on Tighter. The fadeaway. No good, but Carl Hall there for the putback. It's the biggest lead of the night for the Storm.
And again, just a veteran play there by Hall. Knew where he had to be at, following that shot in. And a loose ball poked out of bounds is going to remain Titans basketball.
$18 to shoot. Starks set to inbound. The long 2 puts it in. Nice shot from Starks, who found the range in that first quarter. That time, pokes it straight up and grabs a loose ball. Starks slices through the defense, but loses the basketball and then gets called for the foul.
That's a tough break for Ahmad Starks after a good sequence. Hitting the bucket and then forcing the turnover. Looking for some more and then got tangled up there with the Island Storm player. Garners the foul call, and that's his first on the night.
4th team foul for the Titans in the 3rd. Storm are at the same mark. Osei. Session. Floor down low. Carl Hall going to work on Tighter down low. Hall lost the basketball. 2 to shoot. Osei has to heave one up, and it's good.
That'll silence this crowd. And that might be an understatement, as Island Storm, what a quarter they're piecing together here with 2:15 to go. Really pulling away.
Tighter, and that one's rejected by Carl Hall.
Stretch pass just outside the reach on the fast break. As the Titans catch a break there.
77-69. 8 points. It's the biggest margin tonight for the Storm. They started the half down 4, and as we've seen so many times with Kitchener-Waterloo this season, struggles out of the locker room. Starks a deep 3. Won't go.
Well, we've seen it usually the second quarter being a letdown, but then the third quarter maybe picking it up a little bit, and then we've seen a bit of the reversal. We touched on it in the first. We've seen a bit of everything really this season. That's just the way the campaign's gone for the second-year franchise.
Session floats it in for Jerry and Henry, but a foul called away from the play. Starks, I believe that's going to be his second, and indeed it is, so he'll head off, and Dominic Phillips checks back in. Henry backing in on Horton, off to States, and the lay-in. Pretty feed. And the Storm have a double-digit advantage.
It's gotten ugly here. KW's got to get some stops and some offense. That'll help.
Horton playing on one leg, drives and scores. 25 for him tonight. He's doing everything he can. Henry backing in on Hurt. The miss, and it might have been last touch by KW, and no, they're going to get together, and I think this one's going to be overturned. They signaled Titans basketball, and indeed it will go back to the Storm as Justin Hurt punched it out of bounds. Osei, watched by Phillips, and a foul away from the play. Anthony Miles, and I believe he's done.
I think you're right.
6th foul on Anthony Miles.
He knew it right away.
He heads out with 51 seconds to go in the third quarter. A short night for him. And Shamar Sutherland is back in for KW.
Got some time on the floor to prove himself, and is more so in the foul category than the points for. So Dominic Phillips checks in. And he himself still looking for his first bucket of the night.
Session, the nice play inside. Rims it in. 10-point Storm lead again. Hurt the drive out to Sutherland. Spins and lost it. Session the steal. Osei, the score. You can hear a pin drop here at the Odd now.
It's a good gathering here at the Memorial Auditorium, so it certainly says a lot about what the Island Storm have done here in the third. There's a foul being called as Titer and Osei, and I think it's Osei getting the call.
Second tonight. Hurt against Session. Titer at the buzzer, and it's good.
Well, much like we saw the first half end with States draining 2 free throws after getting fouled, it's Nigel Titer with the seconds ticking away, getting a bucket back for KW, although they now face a double-digit deficit. 10-point lead for the Island Storm after 3 quarters of play.
Fourth quarter underway, and it looks a lot different than when the third started. Titans were up 54-50.
Well, go ahead.
That's PEI with the double-digit lead instead, and getting things off on the right foot. Kemi Osei, the baseline jumper, and it's a 12-point game.
Oh, I figured it was worth cutting you off just to mention. I don't think anyone was more excited than that third quarter and how it resulted for the Island Storm than manager Greg Moore there, making the trip with the team. And he was the first one off the bench to congratulate the 5 coming off the floor. Such a positive influence on that team, and certainly can noted for his positive contributions day in and day out, but boy, this Island Storm team really came out to play out of the locker room for the second half.
Entry pass to Henry. States fouled. It's going to go on Titer. Titer charged with his second.
And to touch on Lisa O's point in the chat, watching the live stream, and Session, well, it seems that he hasn't come off this game, has it, Ian?
There's a reason he's leading the Storm this year, and his minutes have come in high volume tonight.
One of two Island Storm players in double digits, or rather three, and leads the team with the 14 points as States steps in for these free throws.
States 1 for 2 that time around, and the Storm lead continues to grow, the biggest it's been all night. Hall back in for Titer. He's playing with 4 fouls. It's Horton. Hall surveys the scene, is watched by Henry. The shot clock hits 5, and reaching in is Henry for the first of the quarter.
Just kind of in disbelief in terms of the Titans team we're seeing right now.
Hall got bumped off the inbound, but no foul called, so a quick turnover.
Well, just lacking any sort of sharpness or life in general. And there's another bucket for the Island Storm, up now 15.
Maxwell, the pretty turnaround. Phillips draws the foul.
After the oohs and ahs from the crowd on the attempted lay-in for Phillips, he'll head to the free throw line, but Titans have to up their game in this final frame and do it rather quickly.
Phillips good on number 1. Making his 8th appearance with the Titans this year.
And if you're just joining us and getting some of the news late, not only Cavell Johnson making his coaching debut on the home floor for the first time tonight, but they're doing it without Kevin Rogers for the rest of the year. As for his release due to personal issues, and so the Titans, although they're fully healthy, had a good start to this game without number 23 no longer on the bench at their disposal, but this second half has certainly been one to forget so far.
Henry pulls up and knocks it down over Derek Hall. Back to a 15-point game. Hall trying to back in on Henry. Just hit that shot over him to Horton. Little pump fake, steps in and gets it to drop.
Again, Hall the distributor on that play, is Horton just hoping that one rolled in, and it did, as Henry's got the hot hand, but a nice pass there down low.
States the feed, and a pretty reverse that time from Session.
Things are just clicking right now for the Storm. That extra pass doing the job. Now a foul going the other way. And that's Sessions with the foul, and it's going to be States heading off. Johnson coming in. Chris Johnson, one of those 3 players with double digits, scoring-wise.
Sutherland in the corner. Hurt grabs his own rebound and scores.
Just 2 points in the third quarter for Justin Hurt. We thought he might be getting it going. And this is Phillips trying to do just that.
Phillips leaves it for a Hurt. No foul, but the second try is good.
Should be an and one, I think.
They should count that basket. It was his second try.
Although you're right, the first contact should have been the foul call, not the second.
Odd play. It won't count the bucket.
So I think it's Henry picking up his fourth in the play. Or rather his first. So Hurt at the line. They did not count the bucket. And from the line here tonight, he's 2 of 3.
Hurt good on the first. Getting his 12th start since joining the Titans. Been an 82% free throw shooter on the year. Rattles in the second. An 11-point game. Storm is led by as many as 15 and
5 seconds.
Indeed. It took too long to get the ball in, so it's going back to KW. Trying to pump some life.
Yeah, this game far from over, although they need to pump their tires a bit more. Need a couple successful trips offensively to the Titans.
Right off the inbound, Hurt the lay-in.
That'll help.
And it's back to a 9-point game, 92-83. Couple quick points for Justin Hurt. The Titans trying to get some traction. Horton tipped it off the inbound, but Storm able to retain possession. They just turned it over, and Hurt scored in a matter of seconds. It's a 9-point game. Foul going to be called on Tremar Sutherland.
And a 1,546 in attendance here at the Memorial Auditorium in Kitchener, trying to urge their team on to close the gap here. The 9th turnover of the ball game, a costly one for the Island Storm, as back-to-back buckets for KW has them energized a bit more.
Johnson, the easy lay-in. Nice feed that time from Devon Maxwell, who's been feeling it tonight.
Nice path to the bucket there, going baseline. Island Storm with a response.
Dominic Phillips, who's checked back into the ball game. Just joining us, Anthony Miles has fouled out. He did it with just under a minute to go in the third quarter. Hurt the drive, the runner. Looks like he got bumped or it was tipped, but no whistle.
Well, the problem was he was moving away from the defender. And there's a nice deflection from Phillips.
Phillips forcing the turnover. Horton, the burst of speed, leaves it for Hurt, and he lost the handle. And they're just going to let Session go ahead and throw this one down.
Anderson back into play. I think got a hand in the eye. as he didn't even make his way up the floor on that drive to the basket.
Exclamation point on a big night for Session. That time Phillips drives, draws the foul.
As two Island Storm players converged on him, unfortunately, it's Phillips garnering the foul call, and he'll head to the free throw line again. First time tonight, as he's again looking for his first points of the night.
Phillips to the free throw line. Good on the first. Titans need to cash in on these if they're going to have any hope at a comeback. They cut the lead down to 9 out of the timeouts.
Now with 7:41 to go, it's important that the KW Titans realize the situation. Again, Island Storm, no fouls to give. They should be attacking the rim ad nauseum.
Phillips 2 for 2 that time at the line. Backing in on Sutherland, the miss. Anderson grabs it and draws another foul. And Anderson has been relentless on the glass, as the Storm have as a team, and generating many second opportunities.
Yeah, the Island Storm outscoring KW 12-5 in their second chance points category here tonight. But KW, despite not only losing Kevin Rogers, but with Cavell Johnson converting to your head coach, you're losing another guy that you had just brought in to add size to your lineup. So you're essentially relying on Derek Hall to be your man in the paint. That's a lot of pressure on the big man. Granted, he continues to put up numbers, but when you're relying on one player to be your presence down low, that's a tall task.
Unique situation for sure, as Anderson 0 for 2 at the stripe. Still an 11-point game. Here's Shamar Sutherland. Pass to Horton, intercepted, and that should be a clear path foul. Let's see if they give it to him.
I think they are, yes they are, as Coach Kendrick was certainly hoping that was going to be the case. And then a nice round of applause from him after.
Session, good on number 1.
Is that a
that's a
is that a PI flag across the way?
Absolutely, it is.
We have some PI supporters, or
Section 11.
yeah, exactly right.
So the clear path foul, the Storm get the lead up to 13, and get the ball back as well. Pass to Anderson, deflected, down on the floor. Titans have numbers. Morrow goes right at his defender. Session the block. 2-on-1, no reason to force a low percentage look, and that's exactly what Morrow did, and gets back and commits the foul.
Frank Sessions adds a block to his totals, his first of the night, to go along with his 5 rebounds, 14 points. And with the Storm sitting comfortably with a 13-point lead and just under 7 minutes to go in regulation, stepping up to the free throw line again is Johnson, or rather for the first time tonight, but as a team stepping up again and looking to improve on their mark. They struggled in that first half from the charity stripe, but they made a more concerted effort to sharpen that part of their game up here in the second half.
They matched their biggest lead of the night at 15. Morrow had it poked away by Maxwell, but it'll stay Titans basketball.
So the first of a back-to-back for KW as they return home to Memorial Auditorium. We mentioned a little earlier, another East Coast team will be making their lone appearance of the season here, the St. John Riptide.
Hurt rattles in the long 2.
But before then, KW certainly wants to challenge for a victory here.
Maxwell, the contested jumper off the mark.
That miss might help, but again, it's just got to be strung together here by KW.
Anytime they've gotten any momentum, they haven't seemed to be able to get the defensive stops they needed, so they cut it back down to 11. The closest they've been is 9 in this quarter.
Not only that, but there's been some key shots, some good execution by the Island Storm, and then some costly turnovers, just some sloppy plays, so it's all really translated there.
Ooh, that's a mean jam from Devon Maxwell.
Emphatic slam for Maxwell, as there's a ball to the face of Phillips.
Horton rattles it in, the deep three.
Ed Horton now 2 for 4 from beyond the arc, as he's closing in on a 30-point night.
Johnson, nice play on the baseline, throws it off Phillips and out of bounds, so the Storm retained possession as Johnson was losing his balance, trying to keep it in play. Here's Anderson. Osei is watched by Sutherland. Osei trying to roll off him with 7 to shoot. Working the perimeter. Session down low. And getting tied up was Johnson as Phillips called for the reach.
Yeah, Phillips just reaching in there, as you said, but now he's going to get a word from his head coach as he saunters over there. A little overzealous defensively. If you're going to go reaching in, you have to be sure you're going to get a piece of the ball.
Free throw is the best way for both teams. 5:28 to go. Johnson, good on number 1, gets the roll.
And now neither team with fouls to give, so the KW Titans really not attacking the rim all too consistently, weren't able to take advantage as they face identical situations. Do both teams.
Johnson, the North Preston, Nova Scotia native, located just outside Halifax. Good for both. Phillips, the miss, back the other way. Nice play by Sutherland to block potentially a big alley-oop play. Now he's got to get back defensively. Hurt tips the miss away. Loose ball, Phillips diving for it, and it'll be Storm ball.
Goes into the first row hard and looks to be okay. You got to appreciate that effort if you're a Titans fan. Good sign that he's no worse for wear. Again, Sutherland got back, got both hands up to, as you said, break up that 2-on-1 and maybe an alley-oop developing. But Hurt swatting it away, and Hurt forced to lunge out for that loose ball. Couldn't catch up to it in time.
Session. The drive with the left hand on Horton.
Cut off nicely there by the veteran.
With the shot clock expiring, Session misses the step back. The big 7-foot frame of Derek Hall secures it, but under 5 to go in a 12-point game. Sutherland cuts through and lays it in. Back to 10.
We'll see whether they can get over this hump now.
They've been hovering around that, get it back to a 9 or 11-point game, but ideally want to see if they can get it within 2 scores, but Maxwell says no guy.
Yes,
lays it in.
Way too easy on the defensive end for the Titans.
Hurt, the drive, and he'll head to the free throw line.
And again, it's Hurt this time flying towards the basket. Saw the lane and took it to the rack hard, but you almost have to hold your breath as a Titans fan. You're just hoping that no one gets hurt. As it's Henry and Hall coming in for the Island Storm. Johnson being subbed out alongside Chris Anderson.
Hurt heading to the free throw line once again. You mentioned getting his 12th start as a Titan. He's been good tonight. Drops in the first.
In spurts at that, just like to see some more consistent play, but
that can be said for
a lot of them. That's exactly it. I was just about to say that. It doesn't only apply to him.
Hurt goes 2 for 2, so once again, it's a 10-point game.
Lots of time yet. Again, it sounds like a broken record, but if KW be able to get a solid defensive effort here, things might change, or a turnover like that one.
Session, who's been absolutely phenomenal tonight for the Storm, looking for that teardrop entry pass. That's a turnover.
And in the same instance, the Island Storm clearly have to be a bit more responsible with the basketball than that sequence right there. You got everything working in your favor. No need to rush it.
Phillips running the guard.
Or be too pretty at that.
Sutherland corner three. It was tipped. Goes out of bounds, and it's going to stay with the Titans.
That's a huge break for Shamar Sutherland and the Titans, as you said. The defender flying in, getting a piece of it.
Phillips looking for help off the inbound, finds Sutherland up top. Remember, it's a fresh shot clock for the Titans. Hall the fake outside. Phillips contested long two is well short, and they might get it again, and they will. Titans get it back again.
And it was Kenny Osei stepping out as he tried to save that loose ball, and we're going to have a timeout on the floor. 3:37 to go, 10-point lead. And check that, they're going to rescind that timeout. The bench was signaling for it as they thought they had gotten word from Island Storm head coach Tim Kendrick. And they're going to hold him to it, it sounds like. 3:37 left. Stay tuned for more here from Kitchener.
Looked like the Storm called a timeout, took it back, but they have to take it. Can't really take a timeout back. Just ask Chris Weber.
Well, we're talking March Madness, aren't we? Or earlier, anyways.
Off the scramble, Hall got in there. Horton diving for it. A foul called. Who's it going to be on? Horton walking away. It looks like it's going to go against the Storm. The foul's on Jarian Henry, and he's down in pain.
It still hasn't rolled over. And so we're going to have the athletic therapist from the Titans head over to have a look. And a brief timeout in the action right after the Island Storm had taken one formally. 3:20 to go in the fourth. We'll be back.
So Jarian Henry picks up the foul and also heads off the floor as Chris Johnson has to check back in, but he's done just fine tonight. 18 points for him. Horton steps up, drills his first free throw, moves to 31 points on the evening.
And 31 points, that's well beyond a season high. His previous was 25 back in late February, and there's nearly a turnover. Island Storm able to recover, though.
Titans, no surprise, coming out with the press in the full court. An 8-point game. It's the closest they've been in the fourth. Maxwell driving on Sutherland. The turnaround won't go. Hall grabs the rebound.
Big one for Hall.
Phillips to Horton. Puts it in. Horton, the baseline layup. It's a 2-possession game. 34 for Horton, and Phillips called for the foul.
That's a tough one for Phillips to take there. He did not like that call in the least. But the way Sessions reacted with a couple of pump fakes, you knew he did. And Cavell Johnson looking for an explanation. Session 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Looks to remain perfect with his latest trip.
Session then quiets the crowd. Drains free throw number 1. 25 points for him. That's team high.
The report on Henry looks to be okay on the Storm bench. That was Miss Horton with the rebound, but Henry holding an ice pack to his right eye area. But aside from that, looks to be okay.
Horton with a wide open lane and lays it in. All sorts of daylight for Ed Horton. It's a 5-point game.
Another tough lay-in for Ed Horton. He's got them within 5 now, 2:24 remaining.
Kemi Osei against Sutherland. Drives and draws the foul. Session went 1 for 2 in his last trip. Now Kemi Osei with a chance to give the Storm some breathing room. 2:16 to play. Good on number 1. Still a 2-score game and still over 2 minutes left. The Titans need to get some defensive stops. That includes not fouling, of course, of both teams in the penalty. Osei good on number 2. 109-102. The squad from Charlottetown looking to split the season series and get an important win fighting on the final playoff spots in the Atlantic. Phillips, the floater won't go. Hall, the putback. Derek Hall, who's been relatively quiet by his standards tonight. That's point number 8. And rebound number 12. Osei, the kick out. Johnson, the drive. Gets it to drop, plus the foul. Chris Johnson, a chance for a big-time 3-point play.
And a big-time bucket right there for the Island Storm. You're in crunch time. A chance for one more.
So back to a 3-score game. Chris Johnson, 21 points. Titans have to play with a bit of sense of urgency. Here's a 3, no good that time from Phillips. And now the Storm don't have to rush. We got an 8-point lead and time is definitely on their side. The Titans cannot afford to give up a bucket here. Osei for the dagger, no good. The long rebound, someone has to jump on it, and it's Sutherland. Sutherland, drive, kick out, work it around. Hurt.
Good recovery there from the Island Storm, picking up their checks.
Not much time to give. Sutherland corner 3 is no good.
Just didn't get his legs under that one. Did Sutherland. Flat coming right off the hand, you could tell immediately.
It's a 3-score game. Once again, the Titans cannot afford to allow a bucket here. Session is watched by Horton. They switch, so Sutherland on him defensively, winding the shot clock down. Session for the dagger, no good. Hall the rebound. Titans have to score quickly. Horton over to Sutherland, again for 3. That one's also no good. 2 key misses from Tremar Sutherland down the stretch. It'll be Storm basketball, and that should just about do it.
It's unfortunate for KW.
That's his shot.
That's it.
Now let's see if they're going to foul. If they do, they have to soon.
You would think so.
And it looks like they will not foul. 8-point
they
game,
do.
and now
Phillips
they do.
steps up a little too late as Hurt let the ball handler go by, but 20.4 on the clock. 8-point lead. I think the writing's on the wall. But to finish the thought, kind of unfortunate considering it's a career best 33 points that Ed Horton has put up here tonight. His previous career high 30, which again he did in his very first game as a KW Titan a season ago.
Osei, good on number 1.
So otherwise, a night he'd like to forget, as do the Titans, as they were looking in great shape in the first half, but that third quarter, certainly their undoing. Outscored 33-19 by the Island Storm. And the Titans, for 2 consecutive quarters, held to less than 20 points. That defense of the Island Storm stepped up huge.
The game was there for the taking, a 4-point lead at the half. That third quarter, absolutely dominant from the Island Storm. They fight and pick up their 5th straight win and a big second half effort. They come to Kitchener and start off their road trip with a W.
And for KW, it'll be their 8th loss in a row, dropping to 5-28, and they'll have a quick turnaround with the St. John Riptide in town tomorrow, 7 p.m. tip-off Eastern Standard Time for those folks looking to tune in. But again, Ed Horton with the career-high night, 33 points, along with 3 assists, 3 rebounds in 37 minutes played. You can't get much better than that for the veteran Uncle Ed, as he's been often dubbed.
Huge night for Horton, Hurt with 20+. Johnson, Session, Maxwell, all with 20+ for the Storm, including a 24.9 rebound effort from Frank Session.
36 points for the Titans in that first quarter of play. Only 37 in the following 2 combined. So that says the story right there. Free throw troubles we were talking about kind of hampering the Island Storm. At the end of the day, though, they're able to work through it and get some key performances, and their depth really shone through.
Titans fall short, 114-104. We're back at it tomorrow night. The Riptide in town. Tip-off, 7 p.m. We'll see you then. For Dan Paulshock, I'm Ian Jodrian. Good night from Kitchener.